Welcome to Homeschool Helps with Amanda. I'm Amanda Wares, Homeschool Helps Director with NCHE. So we are continuing on in this series of homeschooling different age groups. And today I'm going to focus on homeschooling high school. Now, I always say there were two times in my almost 20-year homeschool journey that I really was nervous or scared. One was when I was making the decision to start homeschooling. I was very afraid at that point of what am I doing? And then the second time was when my oldest daughter was getting to the age of high school. It feels big. It feels important and more consequential somehow than the younger ages of homeschooling. You know, people always say, oh, you can't screw up kindergarten, but it really feels like you can screw up high school. But let me encourage you today that I have, and on our board, there are many, many parents that have successfully homeschooled high school and graduated their kids, and they are productive members of society, and it all works out well in the end. So let me give you a few of my best tips for homeschooling high school. First off, it always feels like, and it feels this way to me as well, even after homeschooling for so long, it feels like homeschooling high school is somehow very different. But the reality is that it's really not. You are continuing on in this education journey, in this life. You are discipling your now teenager versus your 5-year-old, but really it doesn't feel different from day to day. Okay. So that's the first thing. The only major difference would be high school maybe requires a little more record keeping. I give grades in high school, whereas in younger ages, I do not give grades. So that's a little difference, but the reality of the actual process of homeschooling is not different. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be continue. As I said last time about middle school, in high school, it's so easy to get caught up in the academics and, oh, we're getting ready for college or we're getting ready for career, whatever it is. It's easy to get so focused on that you lose the relational part. And I strongly encourage you, again, do not lose that relational aspect of homeschooling. It is, in my opinion, the most beautiful, the most important part of homeschooling is that ability, the time, that homeschooling allows you to have this relationship, this unique relationship with your child, whether they are 5 or 18. And it's so important that in high school, you don't just say, oh, now you're in high school, go do your work, and you lose that relational part. Don't do that. Relationship, in the end, that relationship with your child is more important than the academics. I know it doesn't feel that way when you're looking at homeschooling high school, but it really is. So as somebody who has graduated 3, I have 1 left that I'm homeschooling. This is my best advice. Relationship is more important than academics. The academics will come, but the relationship is more important. So don't sacrifice your relationship with your teenager on the altar of academics. Don't do it. So that's another thing. Another tip would be in high school, this is a great time to allow more autonomy, more independence. We talked about beginning that process in middle school. I think high school is a great time to continue that process as their maturity and their development allows it. You don't just want to one day walk in and say, here is your list of schoolwork and you need to be in charge of all of this if they've never done that before. It's a process. It's a growing, learning process. So one thing that I have done that has been really successful with my high schoolers is to give them a list. And depending on, again, maturity and responsibility, that list could have all of their work for the whole week. What do they need to get done this week? And they have the freedom then, if they get that done in 2 days, awesome. Then they have all this time to pursue their interests and passions and the things that they like to do. If they drag it out, then again, that is their responsibility, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, doing school all week long, a week's worth of school. But again, it puts the ball kind of in their court, and you will have to judge as the parent. Are they responsible? How are they handling this? And you may have to pull back on that freedom and level of independence, or, they may do well with it. It so varies depending on maturity, depending on, responsibility and how that goes. So my best last tip for homeschooling high school is keep those records. I know, but you have to keep a record. You have to keep a transcript. I've talked about the legalities, the law, and all the things, graduation requirements, admission requirements. I have talked about all of that before on this segment, so I'm not going to cover that again, but you do have to keep those records. So do that. I am always willing. Many of us at NCHE are always willing to help people with that, but do that. And another thing, I keep thinking of more tips, but another tip is high school is a great time. If you haven't already done this, it is a great time to outsource at least something. You want to expose your student to a teacher, a mentor, whatever you want to call it, other than you, before they graduate, before they leave the house. I have had some experiences. I teach co-op classes for high schoolers, and sometimes, I've seen kids that get to the end, or maybe they get to where they're taking driver's ed, or they're going to the community college, or they're going to college, or getting a job, or whatever it is, and they've never experienced either having a teacher other than their parent, or they've never experienced being responsible to another adult other than their parents. And I think that's an important skill that they need to have before they leave your house. So I would encourage you, as a parent homeschooling high school, find some, either a class or a club or something where your high schooler, your teenager, can be responsible to another adult besides you. I think that's really important. Those are my best tips for homeschooling high school, and I really hope this helps today.